Now, so yeah, that's actually a good question, and it is something that people who live abroad have to ask, and it's usually not an easy question. It's purely situational and context.
So you went abroad.
So I went now to PwC. So I remember landing in the UK, never been to Europe, and I remember I took a trip through Doha. It was Qatar, and it was at that time it was a much smaller airline then. And I remember I think there was a layover there, and then I went to the UK. So fine, got to wherever it is I was going, and then my first day at PwC, so we were based in London Bridge. So PW Pricewaterhouse, the office I was in, was based out of London Bridge. And I've told this story. And because I was now allocated to the banking and capital markets, which a lot of the clients are in that, what they call bank area in London.
How old are you?
56.
No, then.
Yeah.
At that time?
Probably, what that was?
In your 20s?
Yeah, I was mid-20s, yes. Yeah. Wow. So then I remember walking across the bridge. I've never seen that many white people in one go. and the reason why I say this, you take race for granted. And it is not because I was not used to race. My high school head was white. Most of my teachers, my physics teacher, were two Italians, physics and geography, two couple, Italian man and wife. So my English teacher in Form 1 was Canadian. So I was used to race. And PwC, of course, had a lot of, diverse. But when you go into a new country and you kind of think, bloody,
I'm the only one.
This is... And then now you start getting conscious about being different. And it is, I wasn't worried because in PwC, you are kind of used to it because you're dealing with clients who are different races and so on and so forth. But then you would go to clients so because that time I was an audit senior, because I was now the one in charge of the audit.
Yes.
And I have a number of people who are accompanying me. Some of them are Brits, some of them may not be, because it was a very international team. And then the client thinks that some of the other guys are the ones in charge. So looks around and he's told, I am the one in charge. So it's, starting to get used to being comfortable with diversity as the only kind of, and this is what I tell, I coach women, I say, don't feel different, but all try and deal with, just know you are there by right. Yeah. So I remember even I went to a client, I still remember, a branch of a big global bank. And the lady we were having lunch, the audit manager had come, and then the client was asking me, so where did you qualify? I said, I went to university in Kenya, and I qualified in Kenya. She meant accounting. And she asked me, what does that mean? Because basically what she felt, she thought...
That's not good enough.
No, accounting qualification can only come from the UK. But that's all she knew. But it's not the PwC manager. It is the client.
The client,
because it was a regional person somewhere in the southeast of England. And you now come across people who never really come across diverse nationalities in their life. And then that you now start almost like you are conscious of it. Then eventually you become unconscious, because generally then I started to realize from then on, and as we speak about my career, I started to be the only one in many times, so like the only African in Europe when I was in Diageo and so on and so forth. But you stop being conscious, and you kind of start to play your diversity back, in the sense of people now realize, because I was very good in terms of I had very high rating. That's also within 1 year I registered to join the London Business School and you talked about improvement. I was always saying within a year or two, I always have to have something I'm doing.
Okay, Peter,
So I joined as the MBA. Yeah,
I don't want you to rush over this.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a lot you're throwing.
Yeah.
That is gold.
Yeah.
That I want you to just. So very strangely, in 1996, I also went to London.
Yeah.
I moved to Kingston. In fact,
Yes.
I moved first to Kensington,
Yes.
then to Kingston.
Yes.
And I was the only black in that whole area. But at a point, I want to find out for you, because in 98, when I came home, I was like, no, I'm happy here. I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
You get, and granted, I was at a younger age. But what I do know is race played a part
In that.
in making me stay in the place that I was more comfortable in terms of from an acceptance perspective. I want to find out, because granted now it's more diverse, and even London has a lot of, it's cosmopolitan and all these other different places. But if you go to a place like Estonia, it's not really. What is it that, there's something that you've said, acceptance. How did you get comfortable in being the minority?
Yeah. I would say,
because not everybody is comfortable with you.
Yeah. But it wasn't easy and natural. The reason why I expressed, I said I had never seen that many white people, because it all of a sudden I realized this is a different country. Yeah, I'm working in a very different environment. So you're used to seeing Kenyans as clients and as colleagues, as wherever. Now, there's no one you recognize. You don't have similar backgrounds and so on and so forth, other than professional backgrounds. And
even culture is different.
Even culture. And I remember, and the reason why that is quite important, I remember when I went to look for rental property, and I would go in and I experienced race, ratio, not abuse, but so you go in and they say, I'm looking for a house. So what are you looking for? 1 bedroom, whatever. Then the person says, well, I'm not sure I have any. Then they, as an afterthought, so what do you do? I'm working an auditor. Where? Pricewaterhouse. All of a sudden there are five houses that show up. So you're already profiled.
Yes.
But the minute you say where you work, they fit you now. They realize, oh, this person is in a different class. And you realize just how, even when this lady was asking me at lunch, and she was not being rude, she was just saying, what does that mean? Because her understanding, it is unconscious bias. The rental person is probably conscious bias. The person asking me about what does that mean in terms of qualifications and conscious bias. So you start noticing this. And so what gives me the reason to be comfortable with it? You're never comfortable, by the way. I don't think I can say that I was comfortable because until it becomes unconscious, because I was always conscious, which means you can't say you are comfortable. You get what I mean? The minute you are observing, like for example, you're observing that someone was looking at others, thinking they are the lead, you are conscious of it.
You're conscious.
So the one thing that really made me cope, because it's about coping, is saying, I was used to a school that was run by Griffin, and I said inclusion was a big thing, and we had experience from every, so I was used to, the range of people I had come across was quite wide. And then also PwC here in Kenya was also quite diverse. And then you are comfortable with your professional status. So you're on work permit in the UK. You're not trying to say, well, it's not that you're doing me a favor type. Yeah, you're in a in a
Great job.
paid well, and also you are in one of the most prestigious part of the business. So London, you could go whatever places, but London office was one of, this is where, the people who want the best secondments go. And therefore you kind of say, well, I fit here. So therefore I won't doubt that. But so I'll be conscious of it, but I will deal with it as it comes. So you kind of, then when I went into...
And why did you go back to university,
so
school?
University, remember I was in audit. I knew that I needed to expand my education to MBA to give me the opportunity to go into consulting or corporate finance.
I was going to ask you, what is the goal?
Yes,
even every
yes.
You seem
The
to have a
goal was to move from audit. I knew that I was not going to be in audit for a long time. The goal was to make sure that I moved from the service line. So there were a number of service lines that were offered. So career-wise, I wanted to go into consulting stroke or corporate finance, because eventually it broadens your business business exposure. But also because I hadn't at that time decided whether I was going to stay within the firm or go outside into industry. And I knew if I did, at one point go to industry, the MBA would be very, very crucial. So that's the reason. So when I went into the MBA class, again, I am one of the few Africans. Actually, I think was the second one, and because I think we were a class of 55. Because it's an executive MBA, so fairly experienced people who are working already. Probably had the least experience, about 5 years or whatever number of years I had.
So this is now 2000s?
No, this is 97.
Wow.
So within 1 year of going into London,
you now...
I applied, and you do all these GMAT things. So I got admitted to London Business School, and then had to get a loan. So I got a loan from NatWest. I still remember £25,000.
Wow.
To pay for the 2 years for tuition. Luckily, the company actually gave me, because it was block weeks and alternate Fridays and Saturdays, gave me all the time, all the paid as. So they didn't actually tell me take it from leave or we'll deduct. So the actual farm, and this is the London farm, supported me for those 2 years that I was in that course. And also it means they are giving you time off. Every other, the block weeks, which are not, both either to go abroad for a visit or actually to go to school for a full block week of classes. But it was the most intense period. And then I had to draw on my back, the kind of discipline, why am I doing this? But in a way, it allowed me, that was the time I was rated the highest in terms of at work, because I was very disciplined and very focused. And then finished it graduated in 99. And then that's when I switched to a service that was called corporate finance, corporate value consulting, which was an in between corporate finance and strategy and consulting. So where you consult on shareholder value services and so on.
But personal life, are you... Okay, you've just first finished, but...
Yeah. So, but that was a very big milestone, because I knew now, first of all, I have enough years of experience and a foundation in audit. So finance is kind of okay. And now I have been able to transition career within a very, very good employer. And I'm still on secondment, so I've protected my status. Because one of the problems with working abroad is that they could withdraw your work permit if you're not doing well.
Yep.
Or if you don't do what you're supposed to be doing and all that stuff. So I was able to extend, so I lived in the UK for 6 years.
Wow.
I was supposed to go for 2 years secondment, eventually lived for 6. And that's why I returned sometime in 2002.
And in this time,
Yes.
I said that you're a husband.
Yes.
Is there a balance between working hard and
Yes,
personal
yes.
life?
That time I had a girlfriend, but eventually that's not the person who became my wife. But yes.
Okay.
But the thing about being abroad also, which is interesting, is that you have a lot of time. So work-life balance is very easy. And the reason for that is there are no weddings, funerals, all those things to attend to. So actually, I used to host. So people used to say, if you want a good party, good nyama choma, all these things, Peter, when he calls for whatever
Where are you living, by the way?
I used to live in southern London, so near Wimbledon.
Yes.
Between Wimbledon and Morden. If you lived in Kingston, it's that direction.
Yeah.
It's the south.
Yes.
And so I actually lived very near where the tennis is had. And at that time I didn't go to I actually went back later
for the tennis.
Probably I couldn't afford, or I was not interested. I think it is more the interest than the affording. Because that time I already had a very good job.
Okay,
yeah.
But there's something I've just remembered to bring it back, because you said you mentioned it. Are you now and I always like asking people, firstborns, this question. The balance between black tax and responsibility and give back. What is happening?
Yeah. So unfortunately, I have to be honest, for me, I've supported from the very beginning. I'm not saying unfortunate in this way. That's why I meant unfortunate when you call it black tax or whatever it is. But I've always found, from the time I actually completed, at the time I got employed, I started supporting my family, mom, siblings, and so on and so forth. And many of the siblings who've completed it, some of them went to private schools and all that stuff. So I actually have done a lot of heavy lifting from the very, very beginning, and I still do it now until now. But and just that I was lucky that I got into the right job. I started working 1 month after 2 weeks after leaving university, because I got the letter before. So in terms of when you say responsibility, and so I saw it as my duty to support family and to ensure that all my brothers and sisters were properly educated, and they didn't have any challenges in terms of access. And then
I like asking this question so bluntly, because a generation thinks it's black tax, but another generation just knows it's a responsibility that I'm supposed to do because I was the first out.
There's an exercise we did in the office, and we asked everyone, and it was an external trainer. It was a culture exercise, and and the external trainer said, anyone who is firstborn here, second, third, etc., lastborn here, and all these people spoke about their view of life, and you could see the firstborns always thought, well, all the rules were applied to me. I had to help the young ones. When I started working, I started helping. Yeah, lastborns, kind of spoiled, etc. But also their view is, then I had always my voice was never heard, or especially those in the middle, my voice never heard, etc. Clothes are passed on, and all these things from etc. So although the firstborns like us have a story to tell, and we probably were more parent and therefore more serious than the later borns, because then they can just relax. Some of us, because of when you were born, you can't relax. No, seriously, it's true. You were never relaxed. First of all the rules were applied on you. The list, and I'll send you by the way that list all the rules were applied. So even when you actually come out, and I'm sure across generation, firstborns will help more, regardless of generation.
Yeah.
But also our generation in particular was, you saw how your parents struggled to bring you up. I mean, my mom bringing 9 children and never looking tired or never saying, I can't do it, you know. And I still remember even when you come from school and she's telling you, and you've been eating githeri every day, and she's telling you, so what have you missed? Can I make for you? Have you missed githeri? At one point, I almost wanted to hit her with a rungu. But the essence of it, the amount of sacrifice that generation made, and for things that they didn't access, you kind of just remember and kind of say, well, and I think probably it is that it depends on what they see in parents, and even I worry when we bring up our kids because they don't see trouble. There's no, I mean, I come from one car to the other, etc. And so that's why actually my son, we took him to boarding, and I'm sure we'll talk about family, but we took him to boarding because he's an only son, an only child, and also had been with us and might not realize there's other people. So it's good to kind of edge each other with the other boys and play rugby and be kind of pushed over. You know, that type,
tough life.
toughen up.
Yeah.
And frankly, it works, by the way. It's a big adjustment, but it works. But going back to I think for me, and also the starehe mentality of supporting. You cannot sit around and see people, especially those who are close to you, because it's not just supporting my parents. It's also like my sister has had 3 kids, actually gone through university, and she's a nurse, and all of them studied computer science, the 3 of them. One of them with first-class honors, a nurse. Tells you the amount of sacrifice she has made. So I supported her a bit, but it's the same upbringing of really, you know, kind of you do what it takes to whatever. But actually, my niece actually got herself a scholarship, one of the best scholarships in the UK, fully paid for masters in data science. Yeah, and so it tells you it doesn't matter what backgrounds. So when they describe the mom and so on and so forth, and what she has gone through and so on, so if I can help, then I do. And sometimes you're right, you might do too much. You might actually, and I see it even from Starehans, you might actually do it at your own expense. But I've been lucky because I've gotten good roles and so on and so financially I can be able to afford. And but remember, it's also a sacrifice.
Yep.
It's still a sacrifice. You have to hold back your own progress. When I lived in the UK, those people, when you come out from university, the only 2 things you do: you get a mortgage, you get a car. No, 3 things: you get a car on loan, and you get a pension. That's it. And you are free because there's no family to support. You're fine.
Yes,
you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of freedom. Maybe there are 2 or 1 in a family, etc. or whatever. And even if you're supporting, it's less financial, you know. So
I get it.
Yeah. So but
so you come. You in terms of, first of all, you were there for 6 years,
yes,
which is supposed to be a 2-year program.
2-year program. So 2-year became 3 because I had 1 extra year because of university and because of graduate school. Then at the end of that 3 years, which I was still in audit, I moved into consulting. So I had a 3-year stint.
What makes you decide to come back?
Now, so that's actually a good question. And it is something that people who live abroad have to ask, and it's usually not an easy question. It's purely situational and context. I had gone into UK on a work permit in a global firm. I could kind of slot back in.
Yeah.
So therefore the transition back is not difficult. So I came in, I was in a certain role, I come back, same role, same grade. You get what I mean? So that's why I'm saying it's more situational. The second is I had achieved what I wanted to achieve. I had got the secondment, tick box, upskilled. Thirdly, transitioned to the corporate finance side of the business. So now I could come in and actually, so I joined corporate finance and strategy here. And then the third thing, and I noticed when I was in the UK, if you stay too long, you stay. And you specialize too much. So by the time you come back, you priced yourself out of market because the market needs broad understanding versus specialism. And actually I find a lot of people always try to come back, especially having stayed too long, don't fit. Yeah. So coming back in, at least within the firm, I was able
You're
to
very strategic.
slot.
Are you thinking about this while making these decisions?
No, you observe.
Okay.
You observe, people who've stayed 15 years. Then you wonder, will they ever go back? You see another one. Then probably, you also say, at one point, if you're on work permit, you can't have work permit forever. You get what I mean? But so you have to make a decision. Do I go back, and at what point? And I think between 4 and 80, before 4 and 7 years is good. The minute you are beyond 8, most people tend to stay. But coming back, I felt still gave me more opportunities because I could see what's going on in the environment, and also had studied and so on. And from a career perspective, I could get a better living standards here for the same career, isn't it? Yeah. Because I could. I mean, it's not easy to operate out of Europe.
Yeah.
You use tubes. You shop for yourself, you clean your car, you cook for yourself, you do all that stuff. Yeah, and even if you're a couple,
yeah,
there is no help, because as we also lived in Europe when I was in Diageo much later in life. So
in your MD stage?
No, now in my CEO stage, yes.
Yes.
In Netherlands, I lived. My second going into Europe was on the continent side.
But without help?
No, so as we could afford some help.
Okay, yeah.
But remember, trains, it's still trains. You're not driving to work. It's still trains. You walk to work. So I tell people, I've lived all spectrum of life. Even when I was the most senior in the Diageo in the European business, because I was in charge of the continental Europe. But you still, use trains and walk to work and all these things and go and shop and all that stuff. So
Kenya was more soft life.
And also, there's no driver, security, nothing.
Yeah.
So when people ask, so what is this thing about getting security and all that stuff? I tell them, in Ghana, when I was an MD for Guinness, I didn't have anyone, security, because it's a safe country. Could go anywhere. Nigeria had more security than I have in this country, because it was people with AK-47 with a big car at the back. So I'm used to those things. So they don't excite me. They just kind of say practical issues you need to deal with. It
comes with the title.
Yeah, it just comes with the role and responsibilities and all that. But coming back actually was a conscious choice. So I came back, slotted into the corporate finance. I came in as a I remember I came in for 2 years, and I left as an associate director from the corporate and finance function, and then now that's when I joined East Africa Breweries as director of strategy.
Okay, walk me through that, becoming that.
So
because that's you entered as what? Strategy.
As audit assistant.
Okay, audit
assistant.
Into
PwC.
When you came back into EABL. So
you come back I was director of strategy. I went in as director of strategy, yes.
So why did you switch?
So in professional firms, you have to make a decision. So I was on the path to becoming partner. But I had to make a decision. Do I want to become partner, or do I want to go outside and run a business?